Welcome, dear learners. I am delighted to welcome you to this engaging session on observation as a research method in educational psychology. Whether you are an aspiring educator, a practicing teacher, or a curious researcher, this module will equip you with essential knowledge about one of the most powerful tools in educational inquiry. Yes, observation. Observation as a research method in educational psychology. Observation is not just about watching, it's about noticing with purpose. Observation is one of the oldest and most natural methods of studying behavior. Long before modern research tools were developed, people learned by watching others. In psychology and education, observation continues to be a powerful way to understand how individuals behave, learn, interact in different environments. Observation means watching and recording behavior as it happens in a planned and systematic way. Famous scientists have relied on observation for groundbreaking discoveries. For example, Charles Darwin used his observations in Galapagos Island to form the theory of evolution. Jean Piaget, a pioneer in child psychology, studied children's behavior in classrooms and playgrounds to understand how their thinking develops. Today, observation is used not just in psychology but in many fields: education, sociology, anthropology, and even computer science and engineering. In educational psychology, it is especially useful because it helps teachers and researchers see how students behave in real situations. John W. Best defined observation as the ability to see and understand what is happening without allowing personal feelings to interfere. This shows that objectivity is essential. Maria Jodha emphasized that observation becomes a scientific method only when it has a clear research proposal planned and not randomized, recorded accurately, connects observations with theories, follows checks for reliability and validity. Good and Hatt described observation as both ancient, modern, informal, watching in daily life to high-tech videos, analysis in labs, in educational settings. Observation helps bridge theory with practice. It offers insights into how students learn, how teachers teach, how group interactions unfold. Researchers like Robert Barron and John Creswell agree that observation is essential when studying behaviors that are difficult to capture through tests or surveys, such as body language, facial expression, tone of voice. Now, the historical and contemporary use of observation. Good and Hatt argue that observation is both ancient and contemporary. This duality illustrates the adaptability of observation as a research tool from informal everyday observations to more controlled systematic techniques such as video recordings in laboratory settings. Observation spans a wide spectrum of practices. This flexibility shows how powerful observation is in a variety of contexts, including educational psychology. In educational settings, observation allows researchers to study real-time behaviors in their natural environments. By examining behaviors as they occur, observation bridges the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application, helping to uncover essential insights into areas like student behavior, teacher effectiveness, group dynamics, and classroom interactions. Now, why observation is crucial in educational psychology? John W. Best highlights that observation is an essential technique in behavioral research, providing real-time and authentic data that is crucial for understanding the intricacies of both individual and group learning behaviors. Robert Barron also notes that through observation, psychologists can gain valuable insights into motivation, emotional reactions, and nonverbal cues, aspects that are often overlooked in surveys or standardized tests. Observation is particularly powerful because it allows researchers to see behavior as it naturally unfolds without the constraints of preset questions or experimental conditions. In this way, it helps uncover the complexities of how people think, feel, and behave in various educational environments. Now, coming to the key examples of observation in educational psychology. In the realm of educational psychology, observation serves as a systematic, deliberate, and impartial method for documenting behaviors as they arise naturally. The well-known example of Jane Goodall's research on chimpanzees in the African wilderness illustrates the power of observational research. Goodall's observations revealed complex social dynamics in the primate world, contributing significantly to our understanding of animal behavior. Similarly, the work of Franz de Waal provides another compelling example. By observing chimpanzees, he concluded that making peace is as natural as war, demonstrating the importance of observation in revealing deeper insights into social and emotional behaviors. Educational psychologists Jean Piaget also relied heavily on observation. Through his studies in classrooms and playgrounds, Piaget made significant discoveries about children's cognitive development, such as his identification of collective monologues, where children often speak aloud without engaging with others. Piaget's observations were foundational to his theory of cognitive development. Coming to the role of the observer. A key component of effective observation is the role of the observer. The observer's level of involvement can vary depending on the context and the type of data being collected. Some key factors influencing the observer's role include comfort level, how comfortable the observer is within the environment, rapport with the participants, the nature of the relationship between the observer and the participants. Then, data collection strategy, the approach that best facilitates the collection of insightful and relevant data. As an observer, it's essential to choose a role that enables the most effective and authentic data collection. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Rather, the role should be adapted based on the specific research goals and the context of the study. Now, types of observation. To suit different research needs, observations can take several forms. Naturalistic observation. Naturalistic observation refers to observing behavior in its natural environment without trying to alter or influence it in any way. The observer simply watches and records events as they unfold in real-life settings. This method helps in gathering genuine and reliable data, making it a valuable approach for improving the accuracy of information collection. Subjective and objective observation. Every observation involves two key elements: the subject, the person observing, the object, what is being observed. In subjective observation, the observer focuses on their own internal experiences or feelings during the observation process. In contrast, Objective observation keeps the observer separate from the event being observed, aiming for neutrality and factual accuracy. This type of observation is also called retrospection, as it involves reviewing events without personal bias. Direct and indirect observation. Direct observation takes place when the observer is physically present at the scene and records behaviors or events as they happen. It allows the observer to fully understand the content and the environment. Indirect observation, on the other hand, relies on tools like videos, photographs or other electronic recordings to capture data without being observer being directly involved at the moment. While both methods are useful, direct observation tends to be simpler and more immediate than the indirect approach. Now, structured and unstructured observation. Structured observation follows a predefined path that researcher knows in advance what behaviors or events to observe and how to record them. Specific tools like checklists, rating scales, rubrics are often used to ensure accuracy and consistency. This method is highly systematic and works well for collecting quantitative data. Example, recording how often students participate in class discussions using a rubric. In contrast, unstructured observation is more flexible and open-ended. The observer does not follow a rigid plan and instead records whatever seems relevant and meaningful in the moment. This approach is best suited for exploratory research where the goal is to understand behavior in natural, unrestricted way. Example, freely observing how children interact during playtime without any checklist. Now, controlled and non-controlled observation. Controlled observation takes place under specific conditions, often involving external tools or setups like synchronized devices or video recordings. While it may not always capture natural behavior, it can enhance precision and consistency when used effectively. Non-controlled observation, on the other hand, happens in natural settings without any interference. The observer simply watches and records what unfolds organically. This method offers rich qualitative insights, though it might lack consistency due to its open-ended nature. For example, observing children at play in their natural environment, noting behaviors that seem significant without any preset structure. Participant observation. In participant observation, the researcher actively joins in the activities of the setting being studied. This immersive role helps the observer gain first-hand understanding of participants' perspectives and experiences. While it provides valuable insights, it can be challenging to take detailed notes while participating. Often observations are recorded after leaving the site. Now, non-participant observation. In situations where the researcher is unfamiliar with the group or setting, non-participant observation is more appropriate. Here, the observer stays on the sidelines simply watching and recording without getting involved in any activity. This role allows the researcher to remain objective and uninvolved. Each type has its benefits and limitations. The choice depends on the purpose of the researcher, the setting, and ethical considerations. Now, steps in conducting observation. Observation is more than just watching. It follows a step-by-step process. Define the purpose. What do you want to study? For example, how students respond to group work, how a teacher manages classroom discipline. Number 2, select the setting and participants. Choose a setting that suits the study, like a classroom, a playground, or online class. Participants may be selected randomly or based on purpose. For example, children with learning disabilities. Step number 3, Choose the type of observation. Decide whether it will be structured, unstructured, participant, non-participant, direct, indirect, etc. Prepare the tools. Based on the type, prepare the tools like checklist, rating scales, field note formats. Tools should be tested beforehand for accuracy and reliability. Step number 5. Conduct the observation. Enter the field and observe carefully. Try to be unobtrusive and avoid influencing behavior. Ethical concerns are important. Participants should usually be informed. Step number 6. Record the data. Record the data immediately. Note down what you see. This could be through field notes, audio-video recordings, digital tools, or mobile apps. Step number 7. Analyze the data. Look for patterns, themes, or behaviors. For qualitative data, thematic analysis is used. For structured observation, numbers may be analyzed statistically. Step number 8. Report the findings. Write a clear report. Include what was observed, examples, quotes, visual charts, interpretations, limitations and suggestions. Now, tools and techniques of observation. John Creswell emphasized that good observation needs reliable tools. Common tools include field notes, descriptive, what happened, reflective, your thoughts or feelings, analytical, early interpretations. Field notes can be taken while observing or after the session ends. Anecdotal records, short factual stories of meaningful incidents, for example, a child helping another during a task. Checklists, pre-listed behaviors that you tick when they occur, useful for structured studies. Number 4, rating scales, numbers assigned to rate frequency or intensity of a behavior. For example, 0 suggests never, 5 suggests always. Now, advantages of observation. Authenticity. Data is collected from real situations, not self-reports. Non-verbal cues. You can observe facial expressions, tone, posture, etc. Flexibility. You can adapt, focus as things unfold. Less intrusive. No need for tests or interviews. Useful with children or shy participants. For example, observing a child in a classroom without asking them questions provides more natural behavior. Disadvantages of observation. Observer bias. Personal opinions can color interpretations, have thrown effect. People behave differently when watched. Look for patterns, themes or behaviors. For qualitative data, thematic analysis is used. For structured observation, numbers may be analyzed statistically. It's time consuming. It takes time to watch, write and analyze. Less controlled. In natural settings, many external factors can affect behavior. Coming to the applications of observation in educational psychology. According to Paul Weston, observational methods have wide-ranging applications in educational settings. Number 1. Observing classroom dynamics in inclusive education settings. In the field of education, particularly inclusive education, observation is frequently used to understand how students with diverse needs interact within the mainstream classroom environment. Researchers might observe teacher-student interactions, peer collaboration, the use of assistive technologies, or how teaching strategies are adapted to accommodate children with disabilities. Such observations provide first-hand insights into the effectiveness of inclusion practices, challenges faced by students with special needs, and the level of teacher preparedness. For instance, a researcher may sit unobtrusively at the back of the classroom, recording how a visually impaired student is supported during group activities, offering rich qualitative data for improving inclusive practices. Number 2, monitoring behaviors of toddlers in early childhood studies. Development psychology and early childhood education frequently use observational methods to examine toddlers' natural behavior. Since very young children might not be able to communicate vocally, observation becomes the main method of collecting information on language development, social interaction, physical abilities, and emotional expression. Researchers may watch how toddlers behave in various settings such as the playground, daycare, or home, or how they interact with objects and react to caretakers. By recording genuine behavior, this non-intrusive method makes it possible to identify developmental milestones or early warning signs of learning disabilities. Then we have number 3, observing social interactions in public spaces for psychological studies. Observation is used to investigate group dynamics, cultural norms, and community interaction patterns in sociological and anthropological study. A researcher might, for instance, watch how individuals of various ages or cultural backgrounds interact in public areas like parks, places of worship, or marketplaces. These observations aid in the comprehension of cultural customs, gender roles, unspoken social norms, and space usage. Depending on the objectives of the study and ethical issues, both overt and covert observing techniques may be employed. These observations offer insightful contextual information that may not be obtained through surveys or interviews alone. Then we have documenting instructional techniques. Documenting instructional techniques employed in online education are increasingly used for observation approaches to assess the dynamics of online teaching and learning as a result of the growth of digital education. Researchers can watch how teachers present material, use digital tools, run virtual classrooms, and interact with students by using screen captures, chat logs, and video conferencing sessions. Examining trends like feedback loops, breakout room usage, and student participation aids in determining how effective online pedagogies are. This is especially helpful when researching the transition from in-person to online learning settings during major world events like the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming to the conclusion, across many disciplines, observation is a potent and essential research method that provides in-depth contextual and behavior-based insights. Observation is particularly useful when examining activities, routines, or behaviors that participants may not be aware of or hesitant to describe, since it enables researchers to see and document events as they naturally occur. Unlike approaches that only rely on self-reporting, by capturing the complexity of real-world interactions, observation helps close the gap between theory and lived experiences in a variety of contexts, including public and educational settings, individual behaviors, and group dynamics. However, there are drawbacks to observation strength as well. It necessitates careful preparation, which include appropriate observational instruments, ethical considerations, and a defined research aim. In order to minimize the have-thrown effect, researchers must be mindful of possible observer bias and make sure that their presence does not affect participant behavior. Furthermore, timely and accurate documentation is essential for establishing meaningful conclusions, as is methodical analysis. When used carefully and morally, observation improves the research process by adding depth and credibility to findings and supporting other data collection techniques. Whether employed alone or in conjunction with surveys, experiments, and interviews, observation is still a fundamental component of qualitative research, as it provides a window into the complex, frequently unsaid aspects of human experience. I hope, dear students, you have enjoyed this session and now you're full-fledged ready for the observation. This was all for today. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. Take care.